one of my favorite movies is Robert Townsend's Hollywood Shuffle. And it came out right around the time that I was first learning filmmaking. So it was like a perfect movie for me because it was about filmmaking and it was a satire. A satire about black stereotypes in Hollywood. And it's made up of a bunch of different sketches that all kind of represent different Hollywood stereotypes. Well, one of my favorite sketches from that film, by far one of the funniest, is Black Acting School.
Hi, my name is Robert Taylor, and I'm a black actor. I had to learn to play these slave parts, and now you can too, at Hollywood's first black acting school.
Where these very posh and proper white actors teach these black people how to walk and talk black.
No, that's wrong. Watch me, man. Just be cool. Jive, tricky motherfucker!
Good work. That's only the beginning. You too can learn to walk black. No rhythm. Observe. Yes.
It's pretty hilarious, and it's empirically meant to be satire and funny, and plays on comic irony. The reason why I bring that up is because it reminded me of an interaction that I recently had with an individual who, shall we say, is someone who likes to frequent my social media posts with his pseudo-intellectual commentary. And I originally met this individual about a year and 8 days ago. And in that initial interaction, I had made a comment about a particular African-American media personality who I call it a house Negro, which this person actually is. Now, house Negro is a term that is predominantly used in the black community. It was coined and made famous in the zeitgeist by Malcolm X a number of years ago during the Civil Rights Movement.
You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation.
And has a particular meaning within the black community. And the first time I met this individual, he proceeded to tell me the true meaning of the word and how I was using it incorrectly. And I think it's worth mentioning that this individual just happens to be white, happens to be from the South, and he just happens to be a fan of the Confederacy. Based on comments he had made, I gather that. I share this with you because in my most recent and hopefully last interaction with this individual, I was recounting for him the reasons why I have such ire for him and his pseudo-intellectual commentary. And I was explaining to him how, a year or some odd ago, when your very first interaction with me was this interchange about what it means to be a house Negro. And I had pointed out to this individual the comical irony of a Confederate-loving white man from the South telling a black man the true meaning of the word house Negro. Now, like Black Acting School, there seems to be a certain level of empirical obviousness at both the comic irony of Black Acting School, posh white people teaching black people how to walk and talk black, and this particular individual telling me the true meaning of the word house Negro. And when I pointed out this comical irony, he, for the umpteenth time, called me racist. Well, in this particular case, he used the term bigot. His favorite term for me is racist, because I will frequently point out white privilege, and to him, pointing out white privilege makes me a racist. So, I say all this because sometimes people might ask, well, Ron, why don't you just unfriend this person? And excuse me, I'm coming to you underneath a train overpass. So the train is gone. Some people might ask, Ron, why don't you just unfriend this person? And that's a fair question. There have been some people I have unfriended over the years. Usually it was a case where it was someone who was a close friend or someone who I thought I knew, and it just pained me too much to see them making the kind of comments they were making, and so I unfriended them. The reason why I continue to remain quote unquote friends with people like this individual is because I need people like him to show the reasonable people of the world what we deal with, okay? So that you can see the truth of what's out there, so that you can see what it is we are talking about when we talk about white privilege. This particular individual is the patron saint of white privilege and white fragility. And I also called him the poster child of ignorance. Now, I will admit to you, that is not the best way to promote discourse. And that is usually not my MO. For this particular person, it is. And after seeing this video, he may unfriend me, in which case it would be both a blessing and a curse. A blessing in the fact that I no longer have to read his pseudo-intellectual commentary. A curse because, like I said, he is proof positive of the problem and the toxicity that exists in this country, where there are people who are so steeped in their privilege and so taken by their fragility that the mere fact of pointing it out makes them call you a racist, bigot, and whatnot. And it's my desire and hope that the good, reasonable people in the world will see comments like his, and I have a few other usual suspects who like to make similar commentary, and see, wow, I know what Ron is talking about now. I can feel your pain. That is why I do not unfriend this individual. The other thing that I think is comically apropos as it relates to this particular individual and the comparison to Black Acting School is that this individual is an actor. So it's like perfect. This is a long video, so I think I'm going to make it into 2 parts.
Everything goes my way when I want it to.
Let me assure you that acknowledging white privilege is not mutually exclusive to also Black people raising and lifting themselves up out of their communities.
What I want and what I need.
You too can be a black street hood. But this class is for dark-skinned blacks only. Light-skinned or yellow blacks don't make good crooks.